Well, that's what Elvis liked.
Yeah, I know, but it's still, I like it. I was like,
Welcome to the Box Den, everybody. I can't wait for tonight's show. We've got Miguel Conner. He's waiting down below for us. And we're going to be talking about Elvis tonight. And I didn't know a lot of these things about Elvis. This book was pretty intense here. That yes, I swore I sent this to you, so I will definitely send this to you, Mama.
Okay,
because it was a great read. It really was a very, very interesting. You know, I'm just a smidge younger, you know, than my sister is 6 years older, and she was the one. She was the one that was completely and utterly
gaga over Elvis,
love, and just scream at the television. I mean, all that kind of stuff, you know?
Okay.
And I was like, well, I got there later, you know, in life. I'm like, I like him, you know, I liked him as I got a little bit older, and the movies and even the movies. I like the movies. I was into that stuff when I was younger, you know? So, but it's going to be very interesting. And so instead of making a bio video for him, what I did is he has a little snippet on his YouTube channel about his book. So it's a thing that he actually made. So I'm using his, and all I did was put our ad in the front, and at the end I just threw on his books, and you can see more of the other books that he's written, because he's very versatile in what he
I want to go retail therapy shopping again, because just seeing the pictures of the books. But okay.
Yeah, for sure. Now those books,
dancing to that music.
I know, I like that music a lot. But those books look really, really interesting.
I do.
So welcome, Miguel, to the Box Den.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you. I have a kind of a two-part question for you to start this off. And it's, have you always been making a three-part question. Have you always been an Elvis fan? When you started writing the book, was it all based on research, or was it more like a channeled experience? So three parts.
Three parts. No, I was never an Elvis person. Quite the contrary. He was never my thing. I was a Beatles person.
There you go.
Life.
I love the Beatles too. You can love more than one.
No, you cannot. And that's, I don't know if you've ever watched Pulp Fiction, but the original theatrical one had the scene with Mia Wallace, played by Uma Thurman, videotaping Vincent Vega, portrayed by John Travolta, and she gives that speech. There are only two kinds of people in this world, not Republican, Democrat, or this and this. Is Elvis people and Beatles people, and they can like each other, but you can only be one, and that will basically say what your life is like. Later on in the film, she turns after they go to the restaurant, she goes, "I think you're an Elvis person." So I agree with that, but I was always a Beatles person. But as John Lennon says, life happens when you're busy making other plans. And out of the blue, this voice, this vision, this force took me over summer of 2022. And basically, as I like to say, and I've said it before, I became quantum entangled with Elvis, and he took over me. He possessed me. Plato talks about divine madness, right? The way to become enlightened is you've got to be possessed by either your muse or Apollo or Dionysus, one of the gods. That's our role here. He didn't say anything about Elvis, but I'm sure he probably meant it. But I was possessed by Elvis, and I became obsessed. And this voice said, "There's a story that the world has missed, and you are going to tell the story." And I felt I was doing a friend, like he became a friend. I was doing a favor for a friend, and this voice guided me. And the book was pretty much channeled, I would say. Or it was one of those, I never I'd read one bio by Elvis when I sat down and wrote it, but the doors open. Every biography I opened, the information was there. Every documentary was there. And for your audience, again, I did not go to any of the tabloids or documentaries or YouTube conspiracies. All my research is from lauded mainstream bios. Priscilla, the Memphis Mafia, family, friends, spiritual teachers, and it's all there, hidden in plain sight. And my job was to bring it together and try to explain the rise and fall of Elvis Presley and what he means even to today to America.
Right. Now you just brought up Memphis Mafia. Now these were all his beloved, trusted people that he had with him all the time. And there they are on the lower corner. They are older, and that's when they are doing the documentaries. And like I remember seeing them. You know, I mean, it's been years. I haven't researched Elvis like ever. You know, but I remember every once in a while a documentary would come out, and I remember seeing these people. And you know, it's funny to see them now and then, you know what I mean? Oh, I just can't even imagine being in the inner circle of Elvis, you know? I mean, there are these people on the planet, and Elvis is one of them, like just so larger than life. Right? And I always said it was Elvis, Mick Jagger, Michael Jackson, David Bowie, you know, there's a few others that you could throw in there, but just born to be so much more, you know, and people just fall in line and just follow and just worship. Like, what is it? What are they aliens? I mean, I don't understand what it is that what they got that, you know, we don't. You know, I don't know.
With Elvis and David Bowie, they could be aliens. I am writing the second book. Elvis,
I heard that through the grapevine.
Bowie, and yes, there is a possibility that both were from another planet, that they were seeded here. So,
sense.
I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Like you said, when you look at Elvis, at some point you have to tell yourself, talent and luck is just not enough to reach the stratospheres that these figures that he reached.
And like this,
there has to be some force that opened the doors and shot him up in a place where no one else will ever reach.
You know.
And then also the blue light thing. Okay, so let's go Elvis and aliens and UFOs and such like this. Okay.
Now this ain't Elvis your grandma's Elvis anymore. Tell your audience this is another Elvis. This is the real Elvis.
yeah. This is the real life stuff. Okay, this is not what you see on stage or what you see in the movies. This is the real life stuff. So when he was born, he was a twin, and his twin died at birth. His dad was out on the porch. He's smoking a cigarette. Now he hears Mom Gladys screaming because, you know, Jesse's born and he dies. But he saw the blue light in the sky. And he doesn't really remember this until later because, you know, that's not going to be the first thing that, yo, Rocky, how's it going? That's not going to be the thing that people are going to be remembering once your child dies. But, you know, when it does come up later, and Elvis being obsessed with blue.
That's it. I mean, that's the tangled web. And I think my book tries to show, or the theme which Elvis lived under is that, do we have fate? Can we make a destiny of our fate, or are we fated? Because we can look at Elvis or Oedipus or all the great figures in his Jesus. It almost seems that once they were born, it was set. The dice was loaded. This is your destiny. You're going to change history, but things ain't going to end well for you because that's just the way the gods roll, or God or whatever. And yes, from the moment he was born, the alien blue light came down. Was he deposited by some mothership? Was it just a heralding star that you see with Jesus, Buddha, even Alexander the Great figures in history have stars, you know, saying, hey, there's a big guy coming. And of course, Jesse's death, of course, that is a twinless survivor, as we know now, is forever changed. It became the biggest subject or topic in his life. It drove Elvis.
Right.
Twinless survivors are born with this survivor's guilt. They are born feeling empty, like part of them is missing, and they are very driven, very spiritual. They seek the bigger questions in life. At the same time, like I compare to other twinless survivors like Liberace or Philip K. Dick, they are very creative, but they can be very self-destructive, prone to addiction. They cannot connect to other human beings for any length of time. And so blue light, poverty, born in his poverty was, of course, traumatic for Elvis because, again, if they'd had this baby in the hospital, Jesse would have lived. There were times when Elvis was hungry. They were homeless. They were living in conditions that we can't even imagine today. And all these things seems to drove Elvis to become Elvis, both his self-destruction and his talent. So that's the theme of the book. But straight out of the gate, Elvis was meant to be Elvis.
Do you think that he worked twice as hard because he was also trying to fill that void of his twin?
I mean, obviously workaholism is a form of addiction. I think so. And
no, you just said the word. That's what I was going to say.
Same with Liberace, same with Philip K. Dick and others. They get consumed in their art and they lose themselves.
Okay.
Because we all know that Elvis, was addicted to all kinds of medications, and he thought they were okay because his doctor's prescribing them. But an addict is an addict is an addict. And an addictive personality is everything. It's not just alcohol or drugs. It's everything. So he was addicted to women, not necessarily sex, so to say.
But, I think love.
But women. You know what I mean? Like the attention, like the younger girls. So, but they were the innocence, and they were something he could shape and mold. Right, as opposed to, say, an older woman who's wiser and may try to run his life or rule his life. He'd rather have the little puppy dog. But then again, he was kind of babied, right? I think from his mom, and he would talk baby talk to his mom. So I think he was babied too much, and so I don't think that he actually. And this is another thing with addicts and addictive personalities; they don't really develop that way maturity wise. So he was always a younger.
Well, he suffered from lethal enmeshment. His mother abused him because the loss of Jesse, she went to the hospital. They said, you can no longer conceive. So she just smothered Elvis. And we know the psychological damage it does to a child. They can't explore, their egos can't develop. So they become this extreme of a proxy husband, but this naughty little boy who has to escape his mother's grasp. And that was Elvis all through his life. He was a mama's boy. So that abuse also made him Elvis because that was the Elvis persona. So it's almost like he had no choice. There's so much damage and trauma, and but also all these gifts. This gift of he didn't know how to read or write music, anything, but he was a mystic, a natural mystic. He obviously had talent. He could draw into this primordial areas, the spiritual world, and bring it out in his music. Even though he was an introvert and he stuttered, he just had a charisma that nobody could understand. Probably a lot of it was his psychic powers. He could read the room, read people, and so much. It's again, Elvis had no choice but to be Elvis.
Yeah. Now he's actually blonde. He wasn't even dark haired, right?
Correct.
Now, natural blonde. Yeah, that's really wild. Was his, and I wonder if he did that because his mom was dark haired. You know what I mean? Like,
I think it was Captain Marvel. I think you wanted, because even the pompous, everything else looks like Captain Marvel.
I got it going on today. A little bit. But I have this on here. Like, he loved the Captain Marvel stuff, and he did his capes and all of that. Which
I see it now that you have them side by side. I never would have thought about it, but
Straight out of Captain Marvel.
Wow.
I always wondered, what it was with the capes, and I was like, well, I'm thinking, he's larger than life and he's just having a cape, but until I
got rid of the capes after a while because women kept pulling at them. He almost got killed, thrown into the crowd. So
wow.
I think 72, he just gave up on capes.
Could you imagine? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's crazy. What did he do? Was it him? Did he throw that ring into the crowd? That was like a
$30,000
Yeah.
ring.
Yeah.
And then he was so giving, and people would be like, "Why do you do these things, Elvis?" He'd like example, he would take out his $5,000 jacket if he saw a woman cold next to him, and no strings attached. He'd just walk off, and he always like, who do you think put this shirt on me, this jacket on me? It's my fans. I owe them everything. So he loved his fans like nobody. They were his tribe. They were his children.
Right. Do you think his twin was an identical though, or just?
God, I just looked at it. I think. Oh my God! And I just had that answer. I think they were fraternal. I think, and even who was it? A comedian, Phyllis Diller, once said that if Jesse had survived, he would have been gay. In other words, Elvis was the macho guy, and Jesse would have been the guy. And interesting too, Philip K. Dick lost his sister Jane at birth, and he always said if she would have survived, she would have been a lesbian. So I think that there's a huge polarity with twins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I just think if what happened, what would have been if, like, would he have gone up and done all these things? Would any of this happen? I mean, this changed the world.
No. Yep. No, you're right. And I mean, Jesse not just became the drive of his life because he wanted to know the bigger questions of life. He wanted to make sure he was never poor in that situation. He wanted answers, and he wanted to dedicate his art and everything to Jesse. But Jesse was also a voice in his head. He had dreams about you, visions. It was somebody, like as they say in ancient times, your daemon, your higher, somebody who guided you through life. Okay. And made sure Elvis made the right decisions for the most part. I mean,
Right. And then he just all of a sudden, like no one even knew he was doing it, made his first recording. And wham, became a hit.
Yeah. It was very, very strange. You have this kid who doesn't read or write music. Mm-hmm. He's a trucker. He's studying to be an electrician. Remember, electricity, blue light, Shazam, right. Captain. There's always this theme of electricity and blue light all throughout Elvis's life, which is just scary. But he's studying to be an electrician, and he goes in and he says, I want to make a record for my mama. And, they said, okay. And, what's his name? Sam Phillips. So yeah, good looking kid, everything else, whatever. He makes the record. Of course, Gladys didn't even have a record player. So you're wondering what Elvis was doing, but it worked because Elvis would kind of hang out there. And Sam Phillips wanted to do like a super group. I don't know, like Asia or, one of those super groups. He didn't have a singer, and his secretary's like, that Elvis's kid is a good looking, he's got the looks. Maybe he can't sing, but at least he got the eye candy, the Milli Vanilli eye candy, right? Yep. So he invites Elvis to sing, and Elvis is just bombing. He's just bombing. He can't get it going. And Sam Phillips at the end of the day is like, well, let's call it a day, whatever. He goes into the other room, the tech room, to start breaking things down. And then suddenly something grips Elvis. And again, that's why I keep talking about the crossroads and the spirits, how connected. But something possesses Elvis, and he decides to sing this very obscure song, this rhythm and blues song called It's All Right, Mama. And that only few knew about it. You have to be really geek out in the blues. And Sam recognized it, and Elvis started singing. But he didn't just sing it, but he became Elvis. The hiccups, the shaking the head, completely different. And Sam Phillips walks out, and it's like, I have been waiting for this sound all my life. This is the sound of music in the future. And signed Elvis, and that song became a hit just right there immediately.
Yep. And so did all this. Shake it up, Elvis, shake it up. We love that. It's so funny. And then his career is taking off so much. Oh, I have a thing that you wrote that I actually have to put up here too. I have to add this file. Hold on a second here. But here, adding it. Chris wrote this to me today. Where'd it go? Why didn't it add? Add a file right here. Add it. Oh, I have too many. Nope, I can't add it. Sorry. But you wrote a thing, and it's about a mortician buddy of yours. Can you write it in the comments, Christopher, what you wrote on my page today about your mortician friend? Because I have too many pictures on my screen. I can't add another one. Geez, now I lost what I was going to say. Oh yeah, so now his career is taking off, and then all of a sudden he gets drafted.
Oh Lordy.
And it's like, everybody was getting drafted, more or less, right? But did the timing seem off? I do think, that could be one of the conspiracy theories that's actually true. That the government was like, oh, we can't have this, all that shaking and, no, because this is going to change everything.
No, he caused a firestorm. He was both loved and hated, and he has churches, government. See, he was on everybody. He was on a lot of people bullseye. He was a threat. He had upended the status quo forever. Gender, relationships, how women saw themselves, art, music, everything was just completely turned upside down when Elvis came. And of course, you have to add, he got Colonel Parker because he was famous, but Colonel Parker even took him farther, and then came being drafted into the military, which, it's, I don't know what to say. I think it was fine. I think he was. There are rumors that he could have, because there were rules that if you were the head of a household and you were taking care of people financially, the U.S. Army would defer you. So Elvis could have said, I'm taking care of my parents and this and that. But I'm sure that maybe the colonel was like,
the colonel was like, no.
You're going to die. You're going to end up like James Dean. So we need to put the brakes on you.
Yeah, because the colonel, that guy, I just call him the Colonel Jerk. I did not like him. I really don't. I think he ruined Elvis, because of his own greed. And he was, he couldn't hold on to his own damn money. He had to go gamble it away. So, he abused Elvis just as much as Mom did. You know what I mean? I think, he was just run by greed. Totally.
Yeah, but I think he was a necessary part of Elvis's fame.
Yeah, because
without the colonel, he would have never. And I try to show it symbolically. You can say, the proof's in the pudding, right?
But he's not the only agent on the planet either.
No, but he was right. Perfect for Elvis, because Elvis was like Hermes, Mercury. He was Dionysus. He was wildflower, instinctual, gut level, out of there. The colonel was like Saturn. He was the boundary setter, the numbers. And you see that in alchemy, Mercury, Saturn, or these figures that need you to get alchemical gold. You need this perfect balance of force. And together they were really just perfect for each other. And remember, what Elvis was running in places, whether it was Vegas or LA or, any other place that was run by, and the record companies, was really mob run and terrible places for artists. They would suck you dry and drain you. Remember The Godfather, Frank Sinatra? Frank Sinatra could have been a has-been in the 40s or 50s if it hasn't been because he got the mob to take care of the mob. And Parker had mob connections. He was a brute. So he gave Elvis the space in the movie industry, in Hollywood and recording places, for Elvis to evolve and breathe and be protected and do his own thing. And Parker took care of this horrible industry that sucks you dry, takes your money away, and destroys you. So I think at least at the beginning, I think they were great for each other. Then in the 70s, they knew each other for 70 years.
This is the colonel, everybody.
Yeah, they knew each other for 20 years, and a lot of times they were very close. When times were good, they were best friends. Parker was a father figure and a mother figure, because when Gladys died, Parker inserted himself as the mother archetype. But yeah, then later in the 70s, then the relationship did start to sour. And they probably
when he was losing more money, they were saying his Memphis Mafia, or on their documentaries and such, they were saying that he would, within a matter of a few hours, losing $1 million.
$1 million. He had a worse
An
addiction than
addiction.
Elvis, because
Yeah,
you're losing all this money. Who do you think you owe it to?
right.
And that's why he gets part of the conspiracies, because they're like,
Hey,
Parker was going to swim with the fishes, and maybe if he
I like that.
knocked off his client, they might have
Okay.
let him live. I don't know. It's just conspiracies, but
I know. We could, woulda, shoulda, coulda, what ifs all day, but the facts are still the facts of what ended up happening. Hi, Mike. So this is what Christopher wrote. How you doing, Mikey? Right? He said, because he's a mortician himself, right? But one of the funeral directors who handled Elvis's services and arrangements in Memphis talks about the morning Elvis passed, and he was trying to get to sleep, and he was trying to read a book, Psychic Energy, and about 90 minutes later, still not being able to sleep, he got up from bed to go to the bathroom to read, and then selected a book, The Shroud of Turin. And that was the last book he read prior to him passing away. He was later found in the morning by his girlfriend, Ginger, at the time, Ginger, his fiancée, actually.
yep, that's the normal narrative that we're giving.
Yeah. So what's
And the Shroud of Turin, as I show in my book, I think Elvis knew his time was up. He even did a ritual that day. Again, the Shroud of Turin is what? It was called the evidence for the scientific face of Jesus. So he leaves the world looking at his, favorite God, Jesus, his ride or die deity, Jesus. And he was wearing blue, symbol of the throne. I go into detail about all that, but yes,
that is. It's really, I've learned a lot. I did learn a lot. That's why I started looking up things. I was like, I want to check this and I want to check that. I'm like, oh yeah, and then I can see,
Yeah, since the book has gone down, of course, I've done more research, and it's hard to say. I know Vernon said that in 2027 they're going to release the autopsy reports. Let's see if his family allows it, because then we'll get the toxicology and everything, because there's so many disputes and so many different stories. It was such chaos when he died. It was like an atom bomb falling on the world. But there's so much you're learning, and there's so many theories, and some of them are kind of valid. I mean, for example, when people die, you're going to say things, you're going to contradict yourself, because we've done it. We've lost somebody and we can't think straight, and we're like, oh, we did this. But for example, the idea that he was on the toilet might not be true, because Elvis, if you look at the diagram, Elvis, when you look at his upstairs, next to the bathroom, he had a barber chair. And that was his favorite place to read, because it was comfortable and whatever. So, and there are some stories that his pants weren't down to his ankles. Ginger got it wrong. So there's so much we still need to learn.
Yeah, well, I mean, all the people that were there that day, and then all the phone calls, and then what's his name, Jerry, who didn't know, who was a big influence in his life. Huge influence. Like, I think Jerry was the hairdresser. Okay. And when he came
Gary, Larry Geller.
Larry. Sorry. He's the hairdresser, right? Now, he was the one that was, he came in, he's working on his hair, and Elvis was like, yeah, the hair's fine, but, who are you? What are you into? And he just wanted to get
strangest question. That's not something Elvis would have asked. Something told him, because it's not something he'd ask people, but he had a gut feeling. Elvis was really disillusioned with his life at the time. He was rich. He was getting, $1 million per movie and all that, but he was empty. He had not worked his trauma with his mother or Jesse. His mother had died in 1958, and he just felt terrible. Like many stars, he realized all this money and women and fame was not fulfilling him at all. So he was down. He was really down. And he got Larry to cut his hair, and just for some reason asked that question. And remember, Larry could have easily said, well, I'm a celebrity barbershop, and I met Paul Newman, because they were in Hollywood. But Larry just spilled it out. I'm into mysticism, knowing God, all that. And they had this 4-hour conversation in the bathroom, and Elvis was never the same.
Right. Right. So they talked about so many things, so many different types of religions. He read about everything. But yes, Jesus was his go-to. However, he liked all of the other religions and kind of like what we do, Mama D. Like
Yeah.
we're raised Catholics, right?
Right.
But that's not what we practice. You know what I
Nope.
mean? We take a little bit of the Kabbalah. We take a little bit of this. We take a little bit of what works for us. You know? So that was him. Now, the one thing I do like is when you mentioned absolutely no Scientology. And I was like, oh, you know,
was Scientology around back in those days? I don't know how long.
Yeah.
The early in the early 70s, it started making huge headways in LA.
And because it wanted money, it's in Hollywood, and all the stars were joining. You know what I mean? So that's what they wanted, money. And he realized that they're just looking for his money. Okay.
Yeah.
Plus, does he really want to go to the stars like this when he died? Like, I mean, they're just weird people anyway. But it's a major big cult, And I still can't believe that it still goes on today. But that's me. That's just my opinion.
They're a shadow of what they were. But then yes, Elvis did not like them. He said they were godless, greedy. As his bodyguard said, he avoided them like a cobra. But of course, evil's going to find a way, because when Elvis left, they got Lisa Marie and Priscilla, both of them.
Yep. Unbelievable. Well, poor Lisa Marie. She had a rough life, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
It's really rough. I mean, she couldn't trust any relationship she was in. I mean, Nick Cage only married her because he was like enthralled with the king and
obsessed.
He wanted to be king of Graceland. You know what I mean? And take over the role, or I don't know what he was trying to do, but he did not love Lisa, and it's sad because, she was a cool girl. Poor thing couldn't sing to save her soul, but she was.
She didn't inherit that from Daddy.
No, she did not. She did not. She tried. God bless her. She tried.
Right.
But she did have a rough life, and then Priscilla, though. I mean, they met. Let's talk about Priscilla for a little bit here. Now, they met when he was in the army, and he was in Germany, and she was 14. Right. It's like the magic age for him was 14. Okay. Now, they didn't do anything. They didn't have any sex people or anything like this. Okay. He did see her. He was loving. He loved the way she looked. She looked older. She absolutely looked older. Everyone in the mafia there thought she was 16. But still, that's even still at that age is too young. Still too young. And but so they were seeing each other through that time, and then when he went back home, and they were like, "Oh, well, we heard you broke some hearts in Germany," and he's like, "Well, there's rumors going around about the girl I left behind, but it wasn't like that, And he's like saying that, and then people are, because he's saying that, I mean, especially if they said that today, they'd be all over that.
Yeah.
But back then they were like, but they didn't really like harp on it as much as we would today.
Yeah. I mean, it was a different time. He was a Southerner. And also, let's keep in mind, and again, this is Priscilla's own words. They did not, do the thing until they were married, or before they were married, before. And even if you watch Sofia Coppola's movie, Priscilla, it's once Elvis got spiritual, he started detaching. He didn't even want to kiss or hug her. I mean, all they had was first base. He didn't even want that with Priscilla, because all he cared about was uniting with God and all that. So she was the one who became very aggressive when it came to carnal knowledge later on. She's like, I ain't waiting. I just ain't waiting. I'm, 23 and it's time, Elvis.
Yeah, the babies.
Yeah, he waited long enough, kid. But then they do get married, like a quick wedding that the colonel set up. So it was a very fast, like a 6-8 minute wedding. What was it? Something like that.
Elvis was stalling, and Colonel was like, either, as they say, shit or get off the pot. You guys can't be engaged for whatever 9 years or something.
Yeah. I mean, this is ridiculous enough. But then she gets pregnant like this.
Yeah.
But then then it's like documented that he doesn't like to have sex with women after they have a baby.
Correct. There are rumors that that's not true, but I think they are true. Because again, remember, Gladys destroyed his psyche. He's got lethal enmeshment. It's a serious syndrome. It's not, and he has no therapy for it. Plus, she dies, and that was his lodestar, his
Right.
everything.
Yeah.
You know, he worked so hard to be famous for her, and then she
And she
dies once
died.
he's reached the mountaintop. And years later, Vernon even said, "You wonder why he died early." Vernon even said, "You killed her," because he was always touring and he wasn't there. Gladys hated the fame. She didn't care about the money. She cared about God and her son. So when Elvis is touring and then suddenly she hears he might be in Germany in the middle of the Cold
Mm.
War, she starts drinking and taking pills and just wrecks her own immune system. So Elvis is probably carrying the guilt of losing his mother, and he's only given 2 weeks to mourn his mother. That's
Yeah.
it. 2 weeks in basic training. We're shipping you to Germany. He didn't get any therapy or any counseling. So he's there in Germany. And guess what happens? Because of the lethal enmeshment, his whole soul wants a mama, you know?
Right.
And guess what? The first person who looks like Gladys that he runs into is
It's
Priscilla. He has no free will in the matter. That's why when he saw H.P. Blavatsky and it reminded him of his mother, he's like, I got to learn about theosophy. When he met Dayamata, the successor of Yogananda, he's like, I'll be here in the ashram doing, you know, he falls for these women. Obviously, he never did anything with Dayamata. He was a good disciple to her. But again, this thing about the mama complex
it's just,
really
and
got
then he
it. Yeah.
attaches and he attaches and he attaches, and
Yeah,
then
and Linda Thompson and Ginger Alden both will say, God, it was like taking care of a kid. It was this duality. You
Yeah.
had the Elvis, who was the patriarch, the leader, the man's man, and then he can turn into Elvis, the little baby who wants to be comforted. That
right.
was hard on women. They didn't know what
Oh
to do.
God, yeah. Oh God, yeah. There's no doubt, because that's a hard thing to deal with.
Yeah,
And then
it's
his
not
son,
his fault. I mean, again, it's
vicious.
not his fault.
That's when that's how he looked when he met Priscilla. Now he looks like a little kid. I mean, he does. He looks so young, even when he was old.
He's only 23. He was a boy.
I know. They're,
Yeah.
they're young little pups.
Yeah,
But
because if you look at 23 now and then 23 Elvis, like we've come, unfortunately, the human race has come into a weird place at times.
And I think too, you talk about the colonel, because the colonel was an illegal alien, the colonel did not want to go to Germany. So they took Vernon, and Vernon, unfortunately, was one of the worst decision makers in the world. It's just the way Vernon was. He was a wallflower. I think if Parker had been there, he would have said, Elvis, stay away from Priscilla. But he was there 2 years on his own. The Parker didn't, again, say what you want, Parker. He could put good boundaries on Elvis when he could. Later in life, when Elvis was the drugs and everything, even Parker couldn't stop him. And Parker went, look, you have two choices, Elvis. Stop or die. You are going to die because of the drugs. And I can't do anything. And Elvis was like, I'm going to do what I'm going to. By then, it was too late. He was a flaming star.
Yep.
Right.
Did I put up the drug picture up here? I don't know if I wonder if that's why it didn't come up here, is because I had too many things. Because I thought I had I had a bunch of pictures of all the drugs and everything that he was taking, and oh my God, there was so much, and they were all doctor prescription drugs, and Ativan and Valium, take it as you want, basically. Oh my God, I think I did post.
But he's such an enigma because, yes, he could do these pills. Again, he started taking amphetamines in the late 50s because all the soldiers were doing that because he had 12-hour days, grunt work. It's not like he was treated like the king. He was out there, shoveling in the snow and all that. And so amphetamines, and then he got into that, and then other pills come in. But I mean, he would be such an enigma because when he would take a vacation like to Hawaii or Christmas vacation, he would go completely straight. I mean, even when he died, the day before he died, he was riding his Harley across Memphis. Well, that's not what a junkie does, right?
No.
And the day he died, he did play an hour or two of racquetball with friends. So
Yeah.
he's such an enigma. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't think if he was high on drugs, he'd be, playing racquetball.
I don't know. It's nuts. It's really crazy. Everything about it. When you don't really know unless you were really there. What exactly happened.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just know from back in my day and experimenting with stuff. Like when I was younger, I could do those things. As you get older, you can't. You know what I mean? Our body changes. However, it's that also. It's you used to be able to take one pill, then you got to take 2 pills, and you got to take 3 pills. And so you need speed to get you through the day, and then you need something to let you sleep at night. And it's back and forth and back and forth. Same thing that destroyed so many other people, and Michael Jackson and
Prince and so many, Heath Ledger. And and as a recovering addict, I also understand when I would be into cocaine and drugs, I could go 2 to 6 months, kind of get my stuff together, do good appearances, and I'd be like, oh, I'm getting in shape, I feel better, but then then you go right back into it, and you're just out of control. So.
Yeah. So again, it's the addictive personality. And it's not even just drugs or just alcohol. It's like you could just be addicted to ice cream. All right. If you like it, you're going to be addicted to it. Okay. And that's what it is. An addict is an addict is an addict for everything. Chocolate, mama. Chocolate.
If it's in my house, I will eat it until there's nothing left. But if it's not in my house, I won't go out of my way. I'll do my best not to go out of my way. But I know I've got that addictive personality. So it's like I used to smoke, and I have no problem with people who smoke. I get you, but I can't get this like just have one puff. No, because I know it took me forever to quit, so I'm not going to do that again. There are times that I still want it, and I've been stopped smoking 10 plus years. So like any addiction is, I know I've got that, but I'm also a stubborn redhead, so I do my best to stay away from shit.
Right. Right. But then there's the LSD, that was the times with the Beatles and the Stones, everything, everyone was doing all kinds of LSDs, tripping. Everyone was tripping, and I used to love that. I'm not making any, I'm not holding anything back. I never have. Right. What I've done all the drugs. I never did heroin, thank God. Another thing that Elvis didn't do too was heroin. It's like, thank God you stay away from certain things. Like that was like a taboo for us then, and I guess not now. I don't know, but I liked more things that would keep me up, But I love doing mushrooms, but I also love Coke. Coke was my drug of choice.
Mine too. And
it kept me alert, and it kept me active, and it kept me playing pool, which is how I made my living for 1.5 years. So, that was the thing we like to do. But again, it's still an addiction, and it's still horrendous to get over. And AA does help with all that stuff. AA, NA, these people that are having problems at the moment, it does help. The 12 steps, everybody should learn the 12 steps in general. Just in general, for a way of life. There's no doubt.
Sure, for sure.
Let's see. We have, do you think Elvis never found satisfaction or peace in his spiritual journey because he never having the full grief journey of mourning his mother?
Well, that's the rub. That's the sort of tragedy is one of my favorite lenses that I put in the book, and I give several, and that is the wounded healer. And you see this, I mean, I compare Elvis to, I call him America's shaman. He was a shaman of a generation in this country. Shamans are rock stars, they're healers, all that. But in a lot of ancient cultures, the shaman is chosen because they are broken, they are traumatized. They either had a near-death experience or some disability or something terrible happened, and suddenly and you see that in MK Ultra and Stranger Things, this child suddenly, the channels of communication to the spirit world open, or the imaginal, or the artistic world, the divine invasion, or the divine invasion by Plato, whatever you want to call it. And this child is chosen to be the shaman of the tribe because it is broken, it is traumatized. And this child, as it grows up, realizes I can heal others not despite my wounds, but because of my wounds.
Yep.
It gives me my power, my empathy, my reason to be. And they're afraid to heal because they think if I heal
then
my
I lose that
trauma,
ability. Yep.
I will lose my job, my ability, and everything. And we see that all the time. It's not just Elvis, Jim Morrison, James Dean. We know the character. They're so broken. They see our pain, and somehow their art or the spirituality heals us. And they feel that's, as shamans, they feel it's fair enough that that's just the way it is. So I think Elvis was that way too.
When you're talking about shamans in that respect, and I understand what you're saying, do you think that Robin Williams was as well?
Oh, that's a good question.
I know.
Is a good question. I wouldn't, on top of my head, I would say no, because again, in cultures, shamans do dress very gaudy, like Elvis or David Bowie or Michael, and music is essential. Music is essential. They're also therapists. They're also helpers. They're more of I think rock music is.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I think poetry is a form of shamanism. I haven't gotten to the comedy part, I guess.
I know, right? Well, comedy heals.
But you're right. I mean, I'm sure Robin Williams' trauma and addiction and struggles, of course, fueled his art. Yeah, no doubt about it. And his sense of empathy and understanding.
Yeah. But talk about Elvis as a healer. Like, he did heal.
Yeah,
heal
this one I want to hear. I am one, so.
Yeah, Elvis was born with these supernatural abilities, for lack of better words, which he got through Gladys. And at a young age, again, he had visions of Jesse, he had psychic abilities, astral travel, healing, and all that. And Gladys, of course, said, look, you need to keep your mouth shut or I will wash it out with soap, because we live in Tupelo, Mississippi, and we are going to get in trouble. Now, the one thing that is accepted by evangelical Christianity is the supernatural healer. Religions are strange, right?
Yeah.
That's fine. But that's something that his parents used on him. They cured his tonsillitis when the doctor said there was nothing they could do. It was normal at his church. And once Elvis really got into Larry Keller and started learning, theosophy and Taoism and all that, he was off to the races. And Priscilla, again, in her biography, it's right there. It said Elvis could heal her headaches at a touch. He cured his grandmother Minnie Mae's arthritis, and many examples of curing people's headaches, hangovers, sore backs, and of course, more extreme, he was able to cure a heart attack, a broken leg, cancer. So yeah, he was a wild healer while he was doing things. It was part of his many abilities that he had.
Yeah.
Yeah. He really was like a little kid though. When he'd go into the hospital, he wanted to go like check out the bodies in the hospital. That was kind of weird. But when he was in there, a woman was in labor, and he's talking to the woman in labor, and she's in labor. It's like, oh my God, you're not going to not talk to Elvis. But he asked to come into the delivery room. He wanted to see birth, and they're like, absolutely not. And she's like, I want him to come.
Yeah.
And he healed her cramps and her, she was having strugglings, and he put his hand on her and healed her. But yeah, remember, two things that shamans take care of in the tribe: birth and death, funerary rites and giving birth. And Elvis had this weird fascination with birth and dying. He'd hang out at cemeteries, mortuaries. He liked to meditate in cemeteries and go to mortuaries and see the dead bodies. Yeah. And he loved horror films like nobody else. So yeah, he had that, like any shaman, life and death were the two polarities he was always at.
Yeah. Oh, I love my horror movies. That's all I watch. But he was also, they were members of the Assembly of God Church, right? That's what they went to when they were younger. Fun little fact here. When I was a teenager, friends of mine were in the Assembly of God Church, and they asked me to paint their van. So I actually painted the side of the van, the Assembly of God, on the side of the van. Just a fun little fact there.
Very cool.
What is the Assembly of God? I'm Canadian. I don't know a whole lot.
Like Pentecostal almost.
Pentecostal.
Okay.
So,
And that's part of Elvis's. why rock and roll was created, because it's a fusion of the blues, but it taps into the African animistic, shamanistic voodoo thing. That's what the blues is, except it's very left-hand path, very dealing with the trickster devil. But it also fuses not just gospel, but the experiential altered state in Pentecostalism. And scholars have noted this is very much like the ancient mystery religions I've been talking about, but instead of being invaded by Dionysus or Apollo, you're invaded by the Holy Spirit. In fact, in the 40s, whenever you would go to Pentecostal church like the Assembly of God, and the Holy Spirit would enter you, and you're shaking and talking in tongues, and you're dancing in the aisles, it was called rock and rolling. So rock was this sort of fusion of these spiritualities, and it was very shamanistic and very spiritual. And you look at the first great rock and rollers, they were pastors first, whether it's Jerry Lee Lewis or Johnny Cash or Little Richard or Elvis. And people used to go to their concert in the 50s. Music critics is like, this is a holy tent revival. This is what it's nothing new, but it was kind of new, and it became mass market. My argument is that rock music was always meant to be a form of spirituality and shamanism. And of course, you see that later. The Grateful Dead and the Doors and the Beatles. It's really an interactive spiritual experience more than anything. And Elvis was the leader of all of this, the main magician.
Right. So someone kicked in that door, and it opened it up to everybody else. And I love it. I love it when you watch, like, even shows today, like America's Got Talent, right? And the singers come out, and like the little girls, that all of a sudden that one little girl who starts moving like crazy, kind of like it sound like Janis Joplin, you know what I mean? And it's like the music takes over them. It just takes over them.
It's a form of possession.
Yeah, and this is what they are born to be. I love seeing that. I love that, you know. But Elvis led such a crazy, crazy life, with all the people around him, with all the women around him all the time. It's like, okay, so how do you carve? How do you carve out that time to actually go read, go study, go meditate, go look into the ashrams or whatever? How do you do that? How do you get away from people?
That's a good question. He just found the time. I mean, again, for example, he used to love just to sit back in the garden and meditate and lose himself. The bathroom was a place where he and Larry would sit there for hours and meditate. In the 60s, he had a bit of more of an advantage because he was semi-retired from music or retired from music. So he was getting millions of dollars. He was one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood. He was up there with Paul Newman and Elizabeth Taylor, but to make his silly movies, but he would do 2 to 3 movies a year. So he really only worked 6 months out of the year. And then he could just, do some publicity, and he had more time then to sort of worked on his spirituality. In the 70s, he basically, once he was Vegas, he had to squeeze it whenever he was alone in his room or Christmas break or vacations on Hawaii. But he always had a group of workers carrying 200 books of the occult. He was a voracious reader. He meditated all the time. He practiced different magical rituals or pursuits. So he was a dynamic person.
Yeah. Now, you said that he always had people around him carrying books of occult and the like.
Workers,
now, there's a lot of people out there who, when you say the word occult, they think of negative.
Right. Well, back then. Yeah, because what Elvis was doing in the 50s, late 50s and 60s, you can find at a strip mall or a TikTok, right? Astrology, numerology, yoga, meditation. A lot of it was today is just boilerplate mysticism. Back then, it was still a cult. He didn't hide it. He didn't broadcast it, and it worried some people. But I would say back then it was a cult.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. But like even when he was in Vegas, so he's doing like 3 shows a day. That's a lot on you. So that's a lot of drugs too. And he was heavier then. So that's hard. That we know that when we gain weight as we get older, that it's harder to move around. We puff a lot more, and we sweat more, and and that was what they were seeing with them.
And you had a whole industry that depended on them, and you had to pay Priscilla for the divorce and Colonel Parker. So Elvis Inc. There was a big demand, so he had to work hard.
Yeah, poor guy. But every time he got on that stage, it was still magic, no matter what.
That was he loved it. He loved every second. He loved his audience. He loved to connect with them. He loved to sing.
Yeah, because it's like he never lost his voice. A lot of these newer bands and groups and solo artists and such, they're great in the room there, with the sound booth and the take 1, take 2, take 12, and put together a track. But you get them on stage and they fall apart.
Yeah.
These are true artists, like Neil Diamond. Today, Neil Diamond's voice is just as good. Barbra Streisand, today, her voice is just as good.
Yes.
Or Whitney Houston, her voice would have been just as good as well. That's another example of gone too soon.
Whitney Houston's mother, Cece, played with Elvis. She was part of his Sweet Inspirations backup. Yeah, but she was smart. She got out. She was like, I'm getting out of this environment. It's not good. And again, that's why Parker was because Parker was there. Parker was the mob boss that protected Elvis from all the mob and all the other dark elements in Vegas and Hollywood and so forth.
Yeah, that's rough. You do need all those people, and to be able to trust those people. And you got to think, like with all the money that he's making, you have to trust that they're not stealing from you or whatever,
robbing you blind.
I do believe it was in your book that one guy did steal, and he was like, you don't have to steal. All you have to do is ask me, and I would help you.
Yeah, he would have given them. Yeah, Elvis would write a check for $50,000 to $100,000 to help somebody. He did it all the time. And the funny thing is, he caught the guy, and he forgave them. He gave the guy his job back and everything. That's how Elvis was. He was really a generous heart. So again, he needed Parker because Elvis was so nice. He was so nice.
People would take advantage of that. So that's what Parker was, the balance on that one.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. You grow up poor too, and then all of a sudden you're a freaking multi-millionaire. You know what I mean? And it's just like, wow. Well, here. Why?
Well, he was a giving soul since he was a kid. They were broke, and his parents finally saved up to buy him his first bike, and they gave it to him for Christmas, and he gave it to some kid. He said, the kid needs it more than I do. Or there's another story. He was in Memphis having ice cream when his parents were finally making a little bit more money. And there's a black kid across the street looking at his ice cream, and he just stood up and gave the kid the ice cream. He did things like that all his life.
Yeah. Oh, God. So far, so way gone too soon. Okay. So now I want to talk about, we're hearing through the grapevine about writing a book about David Bowie. Could you talk about that a little bit? Because I love David Bowie.
It was like I finished the Elvis book and the edits, and I was like, oh my God, am I done, Elvis? Can I please? My 15 minutes as a biographer are over. I don't want to do this again. It was a favor, and all that. And suddenly this other voice said, no, you forgot about Elvis 2.0, and it was David Bowie. And I was like, you and Elvis have, and then there's no way. And suddenly he said, yes, my story needs to be told too. And suddenly I went down the rabbit hole of David Bowie. It's like, oh my God, they are the same figure. They have the same life, same, they were born on the same day. The lightning bolts, everything. They knew of each other. They interacted. They had the same destinies, UFO experiences, healing abilities, trauma. Both, Captain Marvel was part of their alter egos that they create. You just go down the line and you're like, oh my God. Now, I see Elvis as the space messiah of the United States. I think Bowie's more like the space messiah of the entire globe. He was more international, but they're the same figure, same alien, same shaman, if you would. So I've been writing this book, and I make the argument for it.
And when, pray tell, will this book come out?
Well, I just submitted it to the publisher, so if they accept it, they'd be crazy not to, because I think it's actually better written than Elvis, because I have a more experience, not because one is better than the other, nothing to do with it. Yeah, don't strike me down. but
everybody learns along your path, so that's what every book you write will be better than the previous one.
But if they accept it, I'd say hopefully a year by the end of 2026. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
If not, I'll find a home for it, but that's not, I'm not worried. I'll find a home.
You got to have good Labyrinth pictures in there, because, we all love
course.
Jared. We all love Jared. That soundtrack, oh my God. Me and my daughter, like, constant. I could still listen to it all day, every day. No worries, no doubt. The only thing that I found when I was reading the book was, like, it's not so much in chronological order of everything, it's like going this way, this, back. And, so I was like, oh, wait a minute. And then you say it, though. You say it, well, back in chapter 3, we said this, and back in chapter, and we're going to say about this in chapter 9. So you even push it forward, so it's like, okay, all right.
I want it to be, that's what Elvis wanted. He wanted themes, because there are hundreds of biographies on Elvis, and they're all in order. This was more about themes that I wanted to show people. The Bowie book is more chronological order, because he really went on a very strange adventure like Elvis. He rose and fell, but unlike Elvis, he was able to, like you said, he got his act together in the 80s, started going to AA meetings, got married. So he had a different life. But in the late 70s, Bowie, like Elvis, almost died because of the drugs.
Wow.
The terrible living and all that.
Right. Yeah, well, when Mick Jagger and Bowie were together, that was like, oh, God. I love Mick Jagger. I was definitely a Stones girl too,
Okay, yeah. Well, they were good friends.
Yeah. I mean, that's the days of music, to me. That's all I listen. I listen to 60s, 70s all the time. That's what I listen to, and I absolutely adore it. I do. Let me see. Oh, and let's talk about these too now. His outfits. Oh, dear Lord in heaven. I mean, who dresses like this? Nobody.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah, Captain Marvel. But nobody, like, it's just, who could pull it off?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I say, is like, you think, well, Elvis was never an occultist, but then when you look at his Vegas costumes, and he's wearing the Ankh, and he has themes like ancient Egypt and Mayan, which he was obsessed with, and he was obsessed with Native American mythology. And you realize he really was he was showing the world his occultism. He was showing the world he was a shaman. The Captain Marvel cape, again, the Ankh, and there are stories of him reciting Tibetan Buddhist prayers in between songs and healing people. And there's a habit where he would just lay down on stage and act like he was dead, like some sort of funerary rite. So although it seems like he was, doing all this music and playing, you look at Elvis in Vegas, you go, this is magic. And Vegas was this temple of America. Mm-hmm. And he was he was definitely creating magic for sure.
He is so something. Let's talk about when he finally had his little, like, he's all right. He's, again, like a child, and you want everything yesterday. You want your answers now. You don't want to wait. You want to meditate. You want to get an answer now, right? You want to find Jesus. You want to find him now. He's supposed to come to you right now, right? So the moment that it actually did happen is when he saw Stalin in the clouds driving. He was actually driving, and he was with Larry. Mm-hmm. And he's like, are you seeing this? And Larry looked up and he saw it, and then he pulls over, and it's like, it took him a minute, like I know, like, when I realized that I had an issue with drugs, it was like the Iron Curtain came down, and then all of a sudden the light was like poof, and then I knew everything. Like I knew, oh my God, this is what's going on, right? So this is what happened to him. So he's like, he runs out into the desert. He's trying to figure it out, and then he gets it. He's like, this is it. And, you know, there's Larry like, you know, he's like, I understand it now. I get it now. And it just all hit him.
Mm.
And that's
it.
That's
it. He was working on his spirituality, but he became very patient. And Larry told him the idea of there's a Zen parable of the full cup, that the master says, you don't fill up the cup, leave your cup empty. And told him, you're reading all these books, but you're not emptying yourself to allow God to come in. And I was like, Elvis was very impetuous, very impatient. Like I said, he was the king. He got what he wanted when he wanted. But yeah, then they take this trip to the desert, and he sees the face of Stalin, which back then was the epitome of evil. I mean, there was nobody as evil as Stalin in the clouds, and Elvis runs out. But Elvis understood then that he had screwed up, that he was full, that the Stalin was kind of a reflection of him, that his ego was impure, his heart was impure. And he made this dare. He said, if I am as evil as Stalin, or God, if you don't find me as worthy, destroy me. And the face came down and changed into Jesus, and he was filled with the essence of Jesus and revitalized, and he never doubted again. And it was a life-changing experience. And remember, people say, well, what happened later? You know, when we have mystic experience, it's never a straight road. We fall, we go that. And he did tell Larry, he said, look, if it wasn't for this experience and finding you, I'd have been dead in the 60s. You gave me a lease of life that at least lasted to the late 70s.
Yep. And then because like when I said the Iron Curtain, right, this is what I was going to reiterate on. At my lowest point, okay, and it was bad. Someone from AA was talking to me on the phone and talking to me, well, you got to let God. And I'm going, what does God have to do with what's going on in my life? You know, and I was like a child, I went walking into my living room, stomping into my living room, and I crushed my hands, and I'm on the phone. I'm just like, and I said, well, if God existed, he'd shut my mind off, because my mind was racing. And I'm sitting down. As I sit down, and the Iron Curtain came down, and it was nothing but black. Couldn't hear anything, couldn't see anything. Boom. You know, it was like instant answer. Okay.
Yeah.
Then it's like my eyes are wide open, and then all of a sudden my vision comes back, and I'm on the phone. I'm still on the phone. This guy's name is Kevin. I'm on the phone with Kevin, and I'm like, oh my God, now I'm going crazy. He's like, why? And I said, because I told him what happened. He said, well, God just gave you a little love tap, and now he's just telling you, this is what you need to know. But then it was like, it's such an epiphany. Just so I can understand what it was that he saw. And then when that face changed, that was that Iron Curtain, for me, that was that face changing for him. And, and that's what people need, wait for in their lives, because it will happen, and it will happen if you ask for it too. So that's the thing. People say, be careful what you ask for. There you go. Be very careful what you ask for. Because one way or the other, you're going to get it.
Yep. It's not always going to be a good part. Please show me. Like, okay. Show me I'm not invincible. Okay, we'll run you over with a truck. Why not? But yeah, that's the thing, is people think they're invincible, and they think that they can do no wrong, do no harm. But then all of a sudden, as I like to put it, 2x4 upside the back of the head. Kaboom.
Right.
I'm sure God wouldn't use a 2x4, but
I'm just looking at these different questions here. I'm looking at my time here. Oh, good.
Hey, Louise.
The puppies are running around.
Yes. Probably because the cat's
Hey,
there.
how are you? Long time no see.
Just
Let's extra. There was just something. I looked down. I'm like, what did I want to ask you?
Miguel, out of all of this entire book that you wrote, was there something that like sort of stands out in your mind, like the major point for you? that just sort of goes, really? It's like even you could not have imagined this.
Oh, that's a good question. And because again, I try to offer different lenses and possibilities, both esoteric and traditional, to understand the rise and fall of Elvis and how he's still with us in some way, and how he represents America's soul, and he still is America's shaman, and he still, I think, offers the solutions as the United States and the whole West that's crumbling and changing into another form. I think Elvis could be, as he guided people after the World War II and the Great Depression to the great American Empire, he can guide us to the other side. So I can't see anything that really jumps out. Again, he dictated and I listened and I accepted.
Yeah.
The fact that he was blonde might have been the most shocking thing.
Oh,
I know. Oh my God. Well, then what was it? Kissing Cousins? He was
yeah. There you go. You got Jesse and Elvis. Very strange. Right? I can't believe you agreed to it.
I can't either, but that was crazy. I mean, you can see it probably on like Tubi or something if you went and looked. Oh God, it was something I really wanted to ask you, and I don't know if that was in the book, if it was on this list. Anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think I wanted that book to be at the end. And I know I dedicated it to Elvis, but also, as I write in the last sort of fictional end, it was also Elvis's love letter to his father. And it's a love letter to all fathers and sons, that fathers did their best with what they could. Whether it was Elvis with Lisa Marie, Colonel Parker with Elvis, Vernon with Elvis, it was just, unfortunately, we're caught in the stream of history, and all of us carry trauma. We carry ancestral trauma, which Elvis, as I show, had plenty of that. And we do the best we can, and no book has to end. No story has to end. It's what it
his never will.
No.
He's still wandering around out there somewhere alive.
He is. Or, I forgot who said it. Was it Tom Wolfe who said it's never too late to have a happy childhood? And I think that's one of the messages there. It's never too late to have a good relationship with your parents or some family member, even if they're not around, even if you guys have to meet on a different parallel universe or another story in another dimensions. It's never too late.
No.
Yeah. Well, that's what I wanted to talk about, was this. And it was in the book. And I put AC down, and I'm like, I don't understand what AC was, but it's the astral chart.
Like, I don't know much about astrology. I had my friend Maja do that. And but I felt it was just, I have not in the channel that you have linked, but my personal channel, I did, I have this podcast called Gen X Wasteland, where we talk about rock music. And I had Noah Campbell come on, and we had a 2-hour breaking down Elvis's, you can find it at my website, Elvis's astrology chart from like beginning to end. So very detailed for people who are interested in astrology. And I mean, Noah, it's like, okay, this was going on the stars. This is what happened to Elvis. This is, again, do we have agency, or is it all fated in the stars? It's kind of a scary question, and I don't know if there's an answer.
Well, I mean, that's all the different religions. There you go.
There you go.
So it's like this one believes this, and that one believes that, and that one believes, it's like, are we all, there's a basis, and then it's like, well, we're going to take all this and we're going to add this.
Yeah.
And then
but they all struggle with free will. They all struggle with free will.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Does God really know? Could he stop it? Are we destined? Who knows?
I don't know. I mean, reincarnation. Some people believe in reincarnation. Some people don't. Some people, I do. I think we have multiple lives. God, I could imagine who someone like Elvis would be in a past life.
Yeah.
Because that kind of energy.
Souls. Yeah.
Wow. What else did I want to put up here? So I put up again, I'm going to put, that's what I want to put up, your books. So in here, so there's, of course, the Occult Elvis, the Queen of Darkness. What's that all about?
That's actually an older book. You see the book Stargazer to the right.
Yeah.
Queen of Darkness was something in the late 90s that Warner Books published. But then after, I think, 15 years, I got the rights back and I redid it as Stargazer, which is a vampire apocalyptic sci-fi novel. The sequel is called Heretic. And then The Voices of Gnosticism is more of a scholarly book on Gnosticism. And then The Executioner's Daughter is just a very nice boilerplate fantasy novel. So I've been doing different things.
Cool. I like it. That's those would be my movies. I would love that. And your radio. Talk about your radio show, Aeon Biyte.
Yeah, I mentioned Gen X Wasteland, which is I just started it with my Substack on Elvis, where it's more about music. It deals with the occult, but music, culture, and all that. But yeah, Aeon Biyte has been my podcast for a long time, which I deal with Gnostic and Hermeticism, ancient, and how it can benefit us in modern times. So that's if you go to my website again, miguelconner.com, you'll see the links to this podcast, that podcast, YouTube, and everything.
Yep. And yeah, definitely, you got to go check him out. I mean, he's just so super cool. This man is cool. I love everything that you do. Hi, Carmen. Better late than never. Okay, so do you think that there's like I know you said you finished this book and you're done, but do you think there might be another Elvis book, like another, maybe a different branch of his life that you might?
Yeah, there could be. I mean, I'm digging up more stuff, which I'm putting in the Substack. Like, there's a story about his friendship with an Orthodox Jewish rabbi when he was a kid, which is very touching. There's things like, did he meet Marilyn Monroe? And I found things like, I found handwritings of him quoting like Gnostic Gospels and Khalil Gibran, and so I'm finding more stuff. People are sending me documents. So yeah, you never know. It's adding up. So but I'll wait till Bowie is done with me and see what happens. Or maybe there'll be a second edition and I'll just add all this stuff in there.
That would be really cool. Because I certainly did learn a lot, because I really didn't know a lot of these things. I really didn't know about this Captain Marvel thing in the comics. I mean, I know when you're younger, and especially when you're poverty and such, what do you have to look at and do as a child? Books, right? So if Captain Marvel was his favorite, I mean, there were other comics at that time, but not like the Cape Crusaders, Yeah,
but he was so magical because he was a wizard, gave him these powers, and Shazam meant all these great figures like Solomon and Hercules and Hermes, and it's a poor boy who gets transformed into a mighty superhero. So Elvis, as a poor boy, was like, well, if it could happen to Captain Marvel, maybe I could be transformed into this larger than life figure. And he was. He became Captain Marvel incarnate on stage.
Yeah. God, he was so handsome. He was just so handsome. But seriously, my sister would go insane. I didn't get it because I was, 6 years younger than her. Once I got a little bit older, I got it. I was like, oh yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And that was David Bowie. David Bowie, he was born on the same day as Elvis, and his mother, who also abused him, would always say, "You were born on this special day." And little young David Bowie's like, "Yeah, whatever." But he talks about he was one day, his cousin, who was older than him, is listening to Hound Dog, and he's seeing how transformed his cousin was by this music. And David Bowie had a spiritual awakening and said, "This is what I want. I want to have this power, this influence, this energy that has made my cousin so happy and free and everything else. So that got him started too.
Yeah. Well, I love the Jailhouse Rock too. You can't.
Teddy bear.
Oh yeah. Love Me Tender. Oh my God, come on.
Yeah.
But I liked when he was on the stage and it was just 3 of them on the stage and they're playing and it was so connecting. The audience is right there. Not a huge audience, but the audience is right there. It was just so, again, it's like, I can't even think of a better word than magical. It was. Like you don't say anything. You just listen and watch in awe. Right?
Yeah. It's like being mesmerized.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. There's got to be something alien.
Puts you under hypnosis.
How can these people have this power? Do you think freaking Adolf Hitler had that kind of power? I mean, like he mesmerized crowds too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
David Bowie certainly thought so. David Bowie said Hitler was history's first rock star because he figured it out. He tapped into these energies, and these energies can be used for good or bad. And Hitler was one of the first ones. Of course, David Bowie got in hot water for it, but he probably was right. It's stagecraft. It's shamanism. It's going into everybody's soul and understanding their shadow and using that instead of healing them, using it against them or something.
Oh yeah, let's just friggin' whitewash the whole world here, like kind of what's happening today. Without saying anything else, we'll leave it at that.
Trump went to see Elvis.
Sorry?
Trump went to see Elvis. 72 when he was at Madison Square Garden. So was David Bowie. I don't know if he did 4 shows, but both of them that were there. I always like to think if they're the same show and Elvis is playing, he sees like 2 orange heads jumping in the crowd, like, but I don't know. But the truth is that David Bowie disrupted his concert and it pissed off Elvis. And he gave David Bowie a dirty look because he was dressed as Ziggy, heels and orange wig and all that. And Bowie was so embarrassed. He said, I came to see my idol, and he was pissed off.
Well, that's the thing. Again, there's like, the childlike thing that comes out of him. It's like he has to be up here, and everyone has to conform, and he's got to be the center of attention. Like when he was with his women, and he would tell his women, you are not to look at anybody but me. You don't say anything. You don't, like you don't look over here. You don't look over there. You definitely don't look at the cameras. You look at me, period. And that's the way it was. And he liked to rule the things like that. And that's because God gave him a special gift of his voice, the voice he had, and that was magical, the gift. Yes. Oh, yes.
Very true.
But it's not just the voice. It's
the presence,
the presence.
Aura.
Yeah, you could feel the energy through a television screen. I mean, that's the thing. It's to have energy like that.
Even in terrible movies, which were just, silly movies, they all made big profits. People would go to the movies just to see Elvis, even if he was being goofy.
Yep. Well, you're seeing him sing, you're seeing him shake, and you're seeing him with the leading ladies. And then he, of course, had his affairs with the leading ladies, But those are the people that, he would mess around. But his relationships were different. Oh, and speaking of, his mom wanted another woman, one of the women he was with when she was younger, again, like 14, 15, whatever, go live with her. Like, to go through the grooming process, kind of like what she did with Priscilla, live with her, right? So
yeah, it might have been, I mean, Gladys was, she was the decision maker until when it came down who Elvis would be with. Like, Elvis dated Natalie Wood, and Natalie Wood was just horrified, not at Elvis, but at Gladys. It's like, I'm out of here.
yeah. This is kind of a little too crazy for me. But it's this little power couple between Mom and Elvis, and then the Colonel taking over that, and you know, so it's always this power thing.
Yeah.
And they had to be the all it, you know, know all, be all, end all. It's I mean, what else? What is there like this today? I mean,
there's no one around that's like that can do that.
No.
I think one of the last people that I would say was Prince.
Prince. So I love Prince too.
Yeah, as far as talent and presence, and Prince was also into conspiracies and strange things like Elvis. So he might be Elvis 3.0. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll let the voice decide, but he's as close as I see to David Bowie and
yeah.
Well, Michael too. I mean, Michael was
maybe Michael, maybe.
And Michael married Lisa Marie, so you know. But that
He did.
But that was just because
King of Pop and the daughter of the King of Rock. Yeah.
Right. You know, like. Now that's the same thing with Nick Cage. I mean, poor Lisa. That's again, I gotta say it. Poor Lisa. She had a rough.
And she adopted. I mean, Priscilla always said there's some darkness or curse with that family, and it was. I mean, Gladys was tormented. It came out as bipolar. She had visions, and she lived in a culture that didn't help her. And Elvis got it, and Lisa Marie probably got it to do this. I mean, again, if you're being a mystic is not easy. Sometimes it could devour you, destroy you, because you're carrying all these energies and all this ancestral power, and
you don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, it can doom you. And you self-medicate, and then you're done for.
Yeah, because you can't stop it. It's happening, you know, and this is your life, and this is what's going to be. And no matter what you take, it's not going to go anywhere.
No.
Yeah. And then you got to try to get people to understand it too, and then they think you're nuts.
You know? Yes.
So,
in ancient times, it'd be like, "Oh, you're our new shaman. Here's your job. Here's your hut."
Yeah.
But you were respected. That was your role.
I know. I mean, I love. Michael was on our show last week. Like, in our chat room, our famous favorite shaman. Today's shaman, because we were talking about that last week, you know, like what the shaman do and the astral projection and, you know, remote viewings and all this type of stuff. And they're trained for this, you know, from very young. And that's I love that whole aspect of shamanism, you know, because I'm in the paranormal stuff, you know, and I cleanse houses and everything. And I use a shamanistic method to do that, you know, because I feel that, you know, but that's neither here nor there.
It's a path. It's part of your path. I think that's one of the things that a lot of people think, well, if Elvis was this good at this, or if anybody else is, his talent is the voice, you know, like Louise said in the chat, that was his gift. That was only a small part of his gift. His, like you said, the ambiance. He was what is it? Bug zapper. Okay, that sounds like that. Oh, but people don't want to be attracted to him, but they are. Bugs don't want to go near the zapper, but it's just like it draws them in. You know, here we don't die from being bug zapped by, you know, people like Elvis, but he's like that. He is that, just like that shining light. And it's not just, it's who he is in public, but who he is in private as well. You know, it's like how many things did he do privately? Like you said, if he had his jacket on and there was somebody who was cold, he would give it up. People don't do that anymore. You know, it's amazing when you see people out there going with a big old sign going, free hugs. What? What do you want? You know, it's like, no, this is what, you know, this is what he is. This is who he is. It's not just part of it. It's the whole thing. So it's like people just gotta learn to chill, relax, and enjoy life, and be able to prepare to share that joy. And Elvis, without making a big ta-da about it, he did so many things that helped people, and it was just, you know, returning the favor. So whatever, but the gifts that he was given, whatever they were, he was able to share that with people, even if it was just food or just, a signature on a picture or a jacket. That's his way. You don't see that now. You don't see nowadays when you go to events with stars and things, they ask you to pay me $20, I'll give you my signature. Dude.
Yep.
And it's like I was watching a video the other day, and it was talking about how most religions, not all, it's all about the money. And it doesn't matter. And it's like, we have to make money. We have to survive. We have to this. But there are so many people out there that, like, the topic was about homelessness. And they said there are so many people that are homeless, and they gave the numbers. And they said, but there are this many churches in the world. Why don't you, there's cities that don't allow encampments anymore. So, like, go camp in the big old parking lot of, the big old temples. They could do it. They can afford to feed these people without being, broke. So it's now Elvis was that person that shone and never expected anything in return.
No.
Then there's those people out there who want, give me. You want this? I give you this, but you have to take this. Oh, yeah. We are a pet-friendly household.
Yes, we are.
She wants to be let out the room.
Sorry,
Socks.
Oh, baby.
Sorry, little socks.
We're almost done, baby. What a cute babe. What's the kitty's name?
Socks.
Socks.
Socks. Like
I love it. Socks.
Does he have socks?
Huh?
You must have white socks.
Kinda. Yeah, white little feet. She's a mother. Yeah, she had her children. We got her fixed, so now she's retired from motherhood.
There you go.
Nice. Yeah, that's why she's like, I've had enough of this.
I'm done. I'm out of here now.
Yeah, cats are like, okay, I'll let you, pet me for 5 minutes, and okay, I'm done. So I'm a dog person. Dogs, they just want to love all the time. I'm like, okay, go. But now I don't have any puppies left.
You have me.
Yeah.
It's a scary
have
thought. You got me.
All my other little foxies that I can grab and hold here.
I even come before Bob. Wow.
Yeah. But okay, get back on the trail.
Yeah.
These shiny objects. What do you want people to get out of this mostly?
Just see the Elvis that the world has missed. That's it. There's a story that he wants to be told. He was a seeker. He was searching for God. He was searching for the bigger answers of life, and it was just as important as his music career or anything else. The world, even though it's hidden in plain sight, the world doesn't want to see it, and it's time to see it. I think that's what Elvis wants.
Yeah. Now, doesn't the word Memphis mean something in Egyptian?
The land between two kingdoms, I believe. Antawi. So yeah, the theme of the crossroads is all through the book.
Yeah. So it's kind of I'm telling you, people, when you read it, it gets you thinking. Like my brain doesn't stop. Like right now, I'm on like I always say my brain is like a filing cabinet with all the drawers open. Well, all of them are open right now, and it's going, So it's like to try to even sum up something like this. It's kind of impossible for me. I can't even imagine the writing of this book. But looking at the pictures and stuff in here, like that's Elvis's childhood home. Right? That's what he grew up in. So that's how poverty was. But that's a nice little house, basically.
No indoor plumbing, no heat.
Yeah, right. He had an outhouse on cinder blocks, but I mean, it's still a nice little house, really well built. But but that's where he grew up, on the actual wrong sides of the tracks.
It was worse, on the wrong side of the wrong side.
Wrong side of the wrong.
He came from bootleggers and sharecroppers and just
Wow.
He was one of the lowest case systems of the United States in the Great Depression.
Could you imagine? Can you imagine? Like some of the pictures of him as a child too. It's like you see it, but when you look at his face, there's something more still to his face. Like there's something going on there. There's still a little power there, you know? Like I see it in certain children now, you know, kids who have this power, you know, and I'm going, this is gonna be something magnificent someday. Mary Jane's son Logan, he's got,
Yes.
you know, he's got this shine, aura, glow to him. Powerful little dude. Our little parakeet here that's in here, Skylar, she's got it. You know, it's like, you know, some people have it, some people don't. Some people are born to preach and teach, and some people are born to be, I don't know, followers. the crowd screaming after. You know, and it's kind of like, yeah, I'm going to follow this one because they seem to know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But Elvis was just such a unique character, but talented beyond belief. And could you imagine him? Like he said that he wasn't being made fun of in the army, but could you imagine him first going there? How scared he must have been because of this. You know, like how are they going to treat me? You know, and he's just a regular guy. You know, like he didn't ask for all this fame and fortune to hit him like a ton of bricks, like it did. You know, but now here you are with a bunch of men in combat, you know, and in training for the army, you know. You just can't even imagine what goes through his mind there. Plus, the cameras are on you 24/7. You know, how many interviews did he do out there? I mean, how many billions of pictures were taken of him constantly? That has got to piss off your freaking, you know, fellow soldiers here, you know.
And the female fans that followed him everywhere.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
You imagine?
It's a shiny light.
Yes. Yes. Definitely. What was your favorite part of this book? Like, what was the favorite thing that you or something that you learned about him that maybe you didn't know while doing research or channeling?
The blonde.
I know.
Everything was a discovery because, again, I didn't know anything much about Elvis.
Mm-hmm.
Or it was pretty rudimentary. And it was a delight learning about his mystic side and his kind heart and his abilities. So
yeah, and it sort of adds another level to him, because most of us just think, oh my God, that's Elvis, the actor and the musician, the singer, you know. And this is something else you're showing us, is that opening another little window as to a different part of Elvis, still part of him, but it's like, who's out there to think that Elvis was a healer? Elvis was, you know, these things. So it's like, it shows us a different side of him. You know, and I like that. I'm a healer myself. So to me, it's like when I see somebody who is, or hear about somebody who is, and I never would have thought about it, it's like, hello.
You know, but to cure cancer, I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
So that's a really powerful healer, you know, really powerful healer. You know, so she does Reiki. I do like prana. You know, if you get around someone sick, my hands heat up, and she just heals.
I do my thing.
Does her thing, yeah. But I mean, it's a talent, and I do this before I do it too. And it was said that he rubs his hands before he lays hands on, you know, and that's what I do. It's weird. It's weird. I was making a lot of you know, in the reading of this.
The similarities.
Similarities, yeah. Yeah.
He always envisioned the color blue when he was healing.
That makes sense.
I'll bring in blue light too. Bring blue light, golden light, you know, but blue light is healing, you know.
Yeah.
Blue stones, but that to me, when I think of the blue light in him, I think aliens. I think that what his dad saw, you know, from the sky, no less. I mean, can lightning be blue? Maybe.
Yes.
But you know, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how this could be, but I'm glad it was.
Yeah, I was just channeled. I know as
Yeah.
much as you do.
Yeah, I think that's really awesome. But then I thought I was looking up some stuff too, and I found out that and Larry being the hairdresser and everything, like even when he died, and they were like, you have to do his hair, it's like,
Yeah.
and then he went in and he said he didn't have all his stuff, so he was using the mortician's stuff, and he realized that he had like this much. His hair was growing out because he dyed his hair black all the time, and it was all like gray under there and stuff too. So he asked the lady if she had mascara, and he was actually doing the edges with mascara.
Mm-hmm.
So because he couldn't dye
Not
the
like
hair.
you could dye the hair now. No, exactly. Mascara is a quick
He
discovery.
didn't have his stuff, so I'm like, oh, so so that was a little fun fact, and I was like, oh my god, and also that he Larry again, and I think he was a little possessive over Elvis too, I think so. I think they all were in their own way, like their special bonds. But as the casket was closing, he reached his hand in and he touched his forehead because he wanted to be the last one to touch Elvis, and he said he was. So, there's so many little tidbits and things that just because I read this book, I started looking things up.
Mhm.
I would never have known this. I would never have known any of this if it had not been for you. So
Yeah.
I mean, honest to God, just not even if you're a big, huge Elvis fan or anything, it is a good read. It is
Yeah.
informative. It is eye-opening. It's kind of, you could say groundbreaking because it is, because no one's really written too much about like what you wrote about in here. It's always the same stuff. The same
Was there
stuff.
anything that you channeled that you did not put into the book?
Probably the Elvis and the Rabbi story. But I just ran out of room and I kept doing research and I ran out of time to really flesh it out.
Oh my God, a book would be this big.
Yeah, I'd say that was it.
The Rabbi and Elvis.
Yeah, if you go to my Substack, which you can find on my website, there's an article, Elvis and the Rabbi.
I'll put up all your sites again here too. So Miguel Conner,
Yeah.
that's ER. I just for the audio only version here, CONNER.com. On Facebook, it's Aeon Biyte, AEON BYTE. Okay. Instagram is at Aeon Biyte. X, Twitter at Aeon Biyte. And his YouTube channel is Aeon Biyte Gnostic Radio. Sure, there's lots and lots of cool things there. No doubt. And again, he's got all his older books here. And these, I want to get these because I love, this is my genre here. I mean, if you have like vampires and, all that kind of stuff. I love that. I love that. And the voices of Gnosticism, just seems to be super interesting. Can you talk a little bit about that, like more about that, what that's about?
It's just my book on commentary on my views on Gnosticism and some transcripts of interviews I did with individuals, scholars in the field, and so forth. So
very interesting. So what runs you? What is your main source of joy? Like what if you could write about anything?
I don't know. Every morning when I wake up, since I wrote Elvis's book, and my wife likes to put different things on the fridge, and this one she just put it on to put it on. I don't think she doesn't even remember doing it, but I sit down and I look at this this passage in the fridge, and it says, "Your life is not about you."
Mm-hmm.
And I realize that's the secret. Elvis' book is about self-knowledge. At the end, it's all about know thyself. Larry, who are you? What are you into? It's a question that kept coming across Elvis all through his life. He writes it in notes and when he annotates books. So I found that my life is not about me. It's about something greater. It's about our holy mission and what forces of good can we become channels of. That's where the real bliss happens. So, I mean, on my time off, I like to watch horror movies and take the kids to the park. I can admit that.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. I love horror movies. I love horror movies. What's your favorite horror movie?
Oh boy, I can't even answer that one. There's so
I
many.
can't either. I really can't because I love them all. It's all I
Yeah.
watch. It really is all I watch. Do you watch Tubi? I mean, Tubi's got all kinds of old ones too. They're really cool.
Yeah, Tubi's great.
My extent of horror is anything with Vincent Price. When I was a child, I swore I was going to marry Vincent Price. Option there, but that
Good
was
taste. Good taste.
Yeah.
And then he come on with Michael Jackson. I was like, okay, that's just perfection. Sorry,
Oh my God.
but I'm not into spookies. Spookiest I get is being married. Okay.
Well, I better get going here. Socks and my dog. She's starting to do that shake like she needs to go outside.
Okay. All right. Well, we will. All right. So we will say good night to you. I really want everybody to check out your book. I think you're wonderful. When you do the David Bowie thing, I want to have you back.
Of course.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Blast.
for writing.
Thank you for that. It was a lot of information we never thought we would, that we needed, but it is.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't even get to Elvis and UFOs, which is a whole.
Oh,
that would be another hour.
I know, a whole nother thing. Yes, definitely. But yeah, the animals come first. Always the animals come first in our book. So next time we can start with that. When you want to talk about David Bowie, we'll start with Elvis and UFOs, and then we'll go to David Bowie.
Sounds like a plan. Yeah, because both are aliens. You're going to find out they're all aliens.
Yeah, just an FYI, a little tidbit. All right, well, thank you again.
Miguel, thank you very much for agreeing to come on with us and sharing the knowledge and giving us something extra to think about tonight.
Oh, appreciate it. Really enjoyed it. And thanks for having me on. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're rolling.
Yeah, Miguel has left the building.
Yeah.
Miguel is forced out by the
Sox
cats.
wants to leave the building. Yeah, you want to use the cat box. She wants to use the cat box.
Sox wants to leave the building. All right, ciao for now, everybody. We'll see y'all next week.
Yes, sir.
Oh, it's not going to play. I'm trying to play my exit video. There we go. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Fox Time with Gina B and Mama D. We are here every Thursday evening from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, bringing you a variety of guests or our own intuitive oracle card reading shows. We are streaming live on Facebook on my personal page and our YouTube channel, The Fox Time with Gina B and Mama D, on Mama D's YouTube channel, Angel Meadows, as well as our audio-only venues. We hope you enjoyed our show and our guest or your reading, and we would love it if you would go to our YouTube channel, The Fox Den with Gina B and Mama D, subscribe, share, and definitely hit that notification button to never miss a show. We'll see you all next week, and subscribers, watch for our pop-up shows as well. No, we're still live because it won't let me end the stream.
How rude.
I know. It's saying
Want me to try?
Yeah.
Okay. In case it works, we love you. We'll see you all next week or at some point, and we'll let you know what's going on.
Okay. Bye.
Stay in the studio. My outro.
Yeah, I know. I don't know.
But you already played the outro.
I did. So I'm just gonna close it down.